Well, folks, the day has arrived. It's the day of the event where lots of organisations to make a real difference in the community have come together in the Town Hall. The event itself has been organised by Congleton Partnership, and of course the man who is responsible for a lot of that happening at the moment is Peter Aston. Peter, lovely to see you here today.
Morning, Vic. Yes, it's lovely to be here. Because this is radio, we can't quite see, we can only describe how the town hall looks, but there's lots of very, very busy people.
It's buzzing, isn't it?
It is.
Already, and it's not even open.
That's right. No. I think we've held this fair for some years now. I don't honestly know how many years we've done it for, but it does seem to attract a wide range of enthusiastic providers of eco products and those kinds of things. And then you've got the other end of the spectrum, the able worlds and the social prescribers and loss of sight teams here.
The organisations where very often you will be approached, I know I'm approached and says, my brother, mother, father has just got a problem. Who can help us? And a lot of them are here today, aren't they?
Absolutely, and in fact you were kind enough to wait for a few seconds while a lady described that she was looking for somewhere for her autistic and Asperger's son to find a space to volunteer, and so that was the conversation we were having in the context of the old sawmill. But one of the things that's intrigued us over the years with this is it's almost a networking event, as well as introducing our various skills and capabilities to the general public. Come and join us.
Come and join us. So the event has opened for 10 o'clock.
Yep.
And it's running through until
2 o'clock, he says.
2
he
o'clock?
thinks.
I thought it was 3. But
in which case, I'm going to suggest you're right. I'm not here on time. You can't expect me to know when I'm leaving.
Never assume that Congleton Radio is right. You know that, Peter. Yeah, well, we really do anticipate a very, very exciting day with lots of practical events going on as well, I think.
There are various seminars and things going on in the background.
Peter, it's going to be a great day. Well done with the weather so far. It's always a good start.
It's not raining in the town hall, folks.
And yes, I do hope you attended, because by the time you hear this, it'll be over, but at least you'll hear from some of the organisations here, and they may be of help to you. If they are, get in touch. We've just had a conversation with Peter, and Peter has been talking about the importance of today's event to signpost other people who are out there providing support to the people of Congleton. When we talk about Cheshire East these days, we sometimes can be guilty of concentrating on the negative, not on the positive. And yet I have got a display here with a young person called Hayley, who works for Cheshire East, who is talking about the ways in which they can signpost people with particular lifestyle issues. Hayley, it's so good that Cheshire East is doing this. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what these lifestyle changes are? I mean, have I got to give up sex, drugs and rock and roll?
Well, I can't say no and I can't say yes. So as the public health team, I'm part of the health improvement team. So my whole role is around looking at what people can do to prevent long-term illnesses and help them feel a little bit happier and healthier at the time as well. And one of the things that we have done recently is launch the new Lifestyle on Prescription resource, and that is something that's really positive, really easy to read, that can just help people put themselves in the driving seat of their own health and well-being and make decisions to feel that little bit happier and healthier.
That's quite radical in a way, isn't it? I mean, 10 years ago, I felt depressed. I was overweight. I'll go and see the doctor. The doctor will be able to give me something which will cure it. But the whole sort of community health thing is moving on from that now. We're realising that people need to take responsibility for it themselves, but they don't necessarily know what they've got to do. And I think that's where you come in and can literally signpost them to people to give them a bit more information, a bit more support. Is that a reasonable summary?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all know that it's really difficult to get into the doctors at the moment, and we want to make sure that those who are trying to seek appointments with a GP are ones that absolutely 100% require them, when there are things that we can do ourselves to prevent needing a doctor's appointment. So things like stopping smoking, eating well and exercising are things that we can do, and there are tons of support outside of your GP surgery that is available to you, and that's what this resource does, is make it slightly easier to find what's out there.
And it is the support that matters, isn't it? I mean, nobody likes the idea. If they enjoy their food, they don't really like the idea that they're going to have to diet. There are stalls here who will help you to do that, but they probably want to relieve you of quite a bit of money in order to help you. I'm not going to say who it is, because for some people it works. The way we eat, changes can be made there. Exercise, changes can be made there. We may need help because we've got anxiety. Changes can be made there. Let's explore one or two of those and have some examples of how support is available and where it's available.
Yeah, absolutely. So the research does show that moment that you start making change is where you see the biggest changes. So we've got the Chief Medical Officer's guidelines and things like that we share and aim to reach. But the biggest change is at that first start. I think it's so important when we're talking about healthy lifestyle change that we're being kind to ourselves.
Yes.
And that there isn't that massive pressure that you go from 100% to zero. You don't go from all the old habits to strict diets, because at the end of the day they're not sustainable.
You'll just boomerang, won't you? You'll go up and down,
absolutely.
up and down, up and down. Yeah.
I think the way that we do it is kind, and like I say, the research does show that that's where you see the biggest difference. So one of the examples of that is physical activity. So we're told that we need 150 minutes of activity a day. For some people that would be completely, out of the picture, and we completely appreciate that. So it's around adapting what is available to you. So one of the people who is available is the One New Cheshire East service, and they offer things like the Move More programme, which is completely accessible. It's free. It's in community settings, so hopefully you don't need to travel too far to get to it, and it's all really inclusive and friendly.
Yeah. I think I need to talk to you longer about this. I think we've got a whole programme here where you can tell people in a lot more detail of what you're offering, and I think that's important to do.
Yeah.
But what would you say was the single most important thing that a person can do in order to improve their whole well-being?
Well, I might be slightly biased, but I'd say physical activity, because that can range from standing up every hour, going for a small walk around the block, to running a marathon. It is completely different to everyone, and I think what's so important is that it's sustainable, that you actually enjoy it, and that, again, is different for everyone. I've tried running, and I know I just don't enjoy it, but what I do enjoy is Zumba, and something with a bit of music and a bit of spin, where it's a lot more energetic. So it's about personalising, and then you see all the other benefits as well. So if you are exercising regularly, it can have an impact on then what you decide to eat, because you feel like you've worked hard. What are you going to more likely eat afterwards? Are you going to go for that healthy snack, or are you going to order a takeaway? So it can just influence that. But then there's impacts on your mental health as well. So the benefits of getting outside and moving on your mental health are massive.
Yes.
We've got the Green Spaces for Wellbeing project, which is proving that as well. So I think physical activity as a whole encompasses all the other lifestyle changes as well.
Yes, it is noticeable, isn't it, that doctors are now engaged in social prescribing. It's not about take this pill, take that pill. It's actually about, as you say, getting out there, doing some community gardening if you're anxious, meeting up with people. It's about taking up line dancing, say, or something like that. But they can prescribe that now, and therefore it's not a cost obstacle anymore. And that's really encouraging. Let's have a further discussion about this, and for now I'm going to say thank you. Yes, people who are listening out there, please do think about your health. It is actually your responsibility, and there are things you can do. It won't cost you lots of money, but it will make a big difference to you and ensure as they used to say of a certain dog food, prolong active life.
It's very nice, though. It ought to be.
That very nice had nothing to do with me. It was actually to do with some wonderful chocolate there is on this stall that has been set up by Bear Health, whom a lot of people will know, shop in Congleton. We've just been talking with Cheshire East, Mel, about the importance of people taking responsibility for their health, for their diet, and very often that means looking quite hard at what they're eating and how they're eating. Now, I think this is at least the core element of Bear Health and what you provide. It's access to whole foods, for example, and the importance of whole foods. But tell us a little bit more about what you do and why you do it and how you can help people out there. It's very easy to find the shop. It's just down from the town hall. But how do you make a difference for people?
Well, Bear Health, we're a health store. We're not just a health store as well. We're a bit of a hub for natural health and well-being. So we also offer holistic therapies. We have a lot of wellness events. So our foundation is stripping back everything about health and looking at diet and nutrition. And as you say, we were talking to Cheshire East, that is the foundation of health and well-being, for me anyway, is what we eat. And it's also your lifestyle and the changes that you can make. The more you can do to prevent ill health, the better.
And of course, there are plenty of shops out there happy to sell you whole foods without necessarily being able to give you the advice on which foods or what exercise. But you're not just a shop, you've got expertise in this.
Yeah, we have, and I've been in the trade for well over 20 years now, so we kind of developed a lot of knowledge and skills over the years that we can actually offer guidance and advice to the customers who come in and actually tailor that advice to an individual's need, because everybody's different. The advice is very, very important, and it's key to make sure that you're doing the right things. And also when you're looking at things like supplementation to support a healthy diet, that if you're taking medications, you've got to be aware of. So there's lots of factors that you need to take into consideration. So getting good quality advice is what we're all about.
Yeah, well, I think that's absolutely right. And I was talking earlier, and we mentioned this sort of yo-yoing that very often after Christmas people say, I must go on a diet.
Yes.
Oh, I'll stop eating.
Yeah.
I'll cut right back on everything.
Yeah.
Sure, they'll lose weight, but they're not actually taking the healthiest route.
No.
It has to be consistent and steady and enjoyable.
Yes, it does. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's behaviours that need to be changed. And I don't like New Year's resolutions because it's a lifelong change. And you can do things for that New Year's resolution, put yourself under a lot of pressure, but then it's got to be long-lasting. So you need to implement things that you can maintain and that are sensible. Yeah. And then when you feel it, you do a little bit, feel a little bit better, and then you do a bit more, and it becomes then ingrained, and it is a lifestyle change then. Yeah.
It's a bit when you first take up jogging or something like that, isn't it? And there's an initial period of pain. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. Or self-denial or whatever. Oh, I won't have that extra jammy dodger.
Yeah.
Or
we put ourselves under a lot of pressure. You know, these days with social media, there's a certain way that everybody has to be, when really you need to just start small and make those changes as a natural progression and just do a little bit, because otherwise you get overwhelmed, and that's when these resolutions go out the window.
I had that conversation the other day. I must admit that it was in a slightly different context, but it was about the impact that social media is having on people and the pressure it's putting on them. Say I messed up in a relationship when I was a young lad, I'd probably have 3 or 4 people that might know that I've messed up in that relationship. These days, you mess up in a relationship, the whole world knows. And what's more, the whole world wants to tell you what you've done wrong and everything else. huge pressure.
It doesn't help with people's mental health.
And the same then applies if you're dieting. Go to this body, stop eating that.
Yeah.
And actually you need somebody with the knowledge who can say, just hang about. Let me understand you a little bit more.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Now, these are the things you could try. But try them steadily.
Yes, and it's also about giving people informed choice. So what we don't do at Bear Health is tell people what they should be doing. It's giving information, letting people go away with that information, and then making decisions based on what they want to achieve in their goals in life as well. So it's more supporting people and making health changes as well.
Yes.
So without the pressure.
Yeah, and again, I was talking just now about social prescribing, but that's quite important, isn't it? The doctors can now actually say, wait a moment, I'm not going to give you a pill for this.
Yes.
That's not what you need.
Yeah.
What you need is to change your diet.
Yes.
What you need is to perhaps drink a little bit less.
Yes. Yeah.
And again, you can say, well, here's a really enjoyable drink, which you could get into, which will actually benefit you because it's got essential vitamins in it or something like that. Because you might be mineral deficient in some form, particularly as you get older. Vitamin D. You don't make as much the older you get, and yet you need it. Yeah,
and it's not just the older we get either. Now there used to be certain at-risk groups for vitamin D deficiency, but a government report came out a few years ago that now recommends vitamin D across the board, because just where we are located in the Northern Hemisphere, we don't get enough sunlight to convert our own natural vitamin D. And then we put sun cream on, which blocks the production even more. So hopefully this summer we will get some sunshine to actually top up those levels.
I'm off to Italy for a few weeks.
Oh,
so
very
I
nice.
should get a bit
You should, yes.
Mel, as ever, it's a delight to talk to you.
Nice to chat to you as well.
You're a lot more than just a shop. You
Thank
are
you.
an advice centre, you're a support centre.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll continue to go from strength to strength.
Thank you very much.
See you again soon. So listeners, we've been talking about diet and the importance of taking responsibility for your health through the things that you do, whether it's exercise, whether it's good food. There are three certainties in life: birth, death, and taxes. Death happens to us all. And yet there are some very, very important things that we need to do, which will ensure that at that point we don't impose an awful lot of grief on those that are surviving us. I'm talking now with estate planning seminars. Your name, madam?
Sheila.
This is Sheila. This is Sheila. And they're very, very interesting in that they help people realise what they need to do to plan for the eventuality. Because after the eventuality, it's a little bit too late. You can't speak for yourself afterwards. Fact. So tell us a little bit more about what you do. The seminars sound interesting. How do they work?
So we deliver free seminars to parent carer groups, companies regarding wills, lasting power of attorney and trusts. So especially if you've got vulnerable beneficiaries, we say what happens to them if you don't have wills in place, what happens if you don't have lasting power of attorney. We do no obligation consultations, so our consultations are completely free. We will come to your home or to your workplace or your group, and we will deliver them seminars to you.
So let's just tease out those three aspects a little bit more. Let's start with wills, because most people understand that they should produce a will. A lot of people don't.
No.
And the consequences of that is not good news.
No, the consequences of not having a will in place is you dying intestate. It means that the law writes your will for you, and it may not go to where you want it to go, especially if you have vulnerable children. or vulnerable beneficiaries, really.
And a lot of the estate will in fact go to the government?
No, eventually it will go to husbands, wives or children. But you might have children who you don't want to inherit. You might have ex-partners who you don't want to inherit. You might have ex-partners that are father of your children who will end up with that money, and that money might not go to that child. So there's lots of red flags really on why people need to have wills in place. And also because if you have got a vulnerable person as well, trusts have a lot of tax benefits.
Yes.
So that's another thing of and also care fees.
Yes.
Not everybody wants to pay for care. I'm not saying that you don't have to pay for care, but there's certain trusts that maybe will help.
I think we all know that. It's important to get that will sorted out. And people too often put it off, and then suddenly the event happens. And of course that's too late, isn't it?
That's too late.
We mentioned about people that are losing their capacity as well, and this is where power of attorney comes in, isn't it?
So there's two lots of power of attorney. There's health and welfare and there's financial and property. Financial and property can be used as soon as registered. That just gives that person who you're nominating the power, gives them your voice. Health and welfare can only come into play when you lose capacity. Now what happens is if you don't have lasting power of attorney and you have joint bank accounts, then bank accounts are frozen. There's no money in or no money out. So really, lasting power of attorney, we recommend that there's a minimum of 2, maximum of 4. But just remember, you're giving the person your power.
Yes.
So make sure you're giving the person the power who you trust, because they will have your bank account.
So again, really important there. You've expressed your will through your will, but the lasting power of attorney, if you've lost what is termed competence, you don't quite understand what's happening in the world, so important it is to actually have people who you trust, who are going to take decisions for your benefit during the rest of your lifetime, and then for your estate after your lifetime.
Lasting power of attorneys die when you die, and then your will takes over.
Okay.
So lasting power of attorney is only there when you're alive, and then they die with you.
Okay.
And then your will kicks in. Okay.
So there we go. And then, of course, the third point is your estate, everything that you have amassed. There are certain things you can do, and in order to protect that accumulated wealth and to ensure that it goes on to the people that you would wish it to go on to in the right manner and in a tax-efficient way.
Yes.
Very, very important. Lovely to talk to you. How would people actually get in contact with you? Have you got an email address?
So you can, yes. We've got, our email is estate plan. You can go on our website, which is www.splan.co.uk, or go on an estate planning seminars and fill out a contact form.
Which is epseminars.co.uk. But obviously, of course, you can just Google estate planning seminars and I'm sure you'll come up on the list.
Yes.
Great to talk to you, and
Lovely.
Believe me, I'm going tick, tick, tick. I've done it. I think. No, I'm pretty certain I have. We haven't quite done all of it, but we may well be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you indeed. Earlier in this programme, we were talking about the work which is carried out by charities to signpost people to changes they can make in their lives to actually have a healthier lifestyle and to do things in a way which will help them enjoy life. The sad fact is that in life, changes take place. Changes take place when we least expect them very, very often. We may suddenly contract an illness which we didn't expect. We may lose a partner. And these put pressures on the individuals. And naturally, they need people to turn to in that moment of crisis. Now, the gentleman I've got with me, Eddie Bell, is part of Cheshire East. And here at the exhibition today, to promote family hub and family health. Eddie, tell us a little bit about these services and the difference that they can make.
Well, the good thing is with the family hubs is all the professionals are together in one place, so people can come and receive the help and support
It's a one-stop shop.
It's a one-stop shop, exactly.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
And it's really good, and we're supporting a lot of families, a lot of children, particularly who may have additional needs, through our Portage program, where we're able to go into the homes and we're able to give bits of advice to celebrate what their children can actually do, and then help them to make those small incremental steps to improvement. So that's our role within Portage and within the family hubs.
I know exactly what you mean there. Recently I had the privilege of interviewing somebody who I'd actually met in Congleton, who was severely brain damaged at birth.
Yeah.
And he was being supported by two amazing ladies down in Stafford. His name is Kenzo, and he won't mind me using his name on the radio. Kenzo is the sort of person who, with the support he's got, will do anything. He wants to drive a car.
Yes.
He wants to be independent. He went up the rigging of a tall ship to the top, despite the fact that half his body doesn't work properly.
Yes.
And he did this through the encouragement. So the service that you provide can be a huge life changer, can't it, for people with physical and mental disability?
Certainly it can really help them, especially if we get in early, and we're working primarily with the early years, so it helps, I think, the families to see the positivities there as well, so they can encourage their children all throughout life to make the good changes.
Then, in fact, you're supporting them in their support too, which is also very, very important, because to be that carer can be a very, very demanding situation if you're trying to tie down a job at the same time.
Very much.
And the person themselves may be a little changed from the person you knew before. And so, again, that's a big, big challenge. You can give a lot of love, but you need some support to be able to provide the care.
Very much.
And that's where you come in.
That's where we come in, yes. Yes. And as part of the Portage team, we go out into the family homes. We're able to give that care that support on a one-to-one basis, yes.
Well, that's so good to hear, because we all know that Cheshire East is under the hammer at the moment. It's very limited in the resources that it has for social care. It still gives a very high priority to it, and I'm sure we'll continue to do that. Is that going to affect you directly, or do you feel you'll be able to just work twice as hard for less money? Is that the answer?
I wouldn't want to get into that. Thank you.
No. I'm slightly teasing, but it is important with all the people that are out there criticising Cheshire East for potholes or whatever, that we recognise that they have got a commitment to social care in the community, and you're the person at the sharp end that's delivering it.
We're committed to supporting the children.
And I can tell from the smile on your face that you love doing it too. You do it from your heart, not just because they pay you for it.
That's right, and I think that's it across the board.
That's
We've got
absolutely
passion
important
for children and young people, yes.
So there you are, Family Hub. How would people contact Family Hub if they've got a need?
And they can contact us on our different phone numbers. We've got, in the north, we have got Open Club Family Hub. We have Congleton Family Hub.
So it's we'll be going out chiefly to Congleton. So
yes.
Congleton Family
Hub, yes.
And
Open Club, Ashgrove as well, Family Hub.
So probably the best thing is for them just to go on their phones, put in Congleton Family Hub, and that will pop up a website, an email, a telephone number, possibly a WhatsApp, possibly everything else that we use to contact with people.
It will all be on there. You can contact us, as you say, through Facebook as well, so we're on there.
And that service at the moment is still a free service.
It is,
at least at the basic level.
That's right, yes, very much so. Yes.
So there we are. If you've got no excuse, if you need some help, the Family Hub and Cheshire East support services are there to help you, and they want to. So don't be frightened. Don't feel ashamed. If you need help, you need help, and there are people out there that will help you.
Yes, that's right.
We haven't recorded the conversation during the defibrillator training that's gone on in the town hall today, but as I was sitting in there, I listened to a very interesting gentleman, John Ross. Of course, we need to know how to use the equipment which is out there, but what a difference it can make. And I think, John, it's made a big difference for you.
Yes, it has made a difference. The actual training and the showing of the defibrillator has been very good, very informative. I've now found out that there's a lot more defibrillators around about Congleton, which is an excellent idea. The Rotary Club are doing a fantastic job. Cannot fault what's happened here in Congleton. And to me, it's a fantastic thing.
But John, I think there's a deeper story than this, isn't it? I mean, I'm looking at you now, and you're a fit-looking, slightly less than young man, but certainly look fitter than I am, and I suspect you are probably of a similar age. But you wouldn't be here without this equipment being available and for people knowing how to use it.
Well, I haven't actually had to come across a defibrillator because I've had the heart attack, the bypass, the pacemaker over the last 19 and a half years. And fortunate for me, I didn't have to go through the CPR or the defibrillator sort of thing. But I think it's a fantastic thing. And I'm actually thinking about being a first responder.
Yeah.
I really want to try and do something like that.
There is no better example of giving back, and in a way that's what today is about, isn't it?
Of course it is.
It's about people thinking, wait a moment, I'm here and I've benefited. I want to help, whether that's prayer pastors or whether it's with first responders.
Correct.
And there's nothing better than a life experience of death, which sharpens your awareness of what can be done in emergency situations.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Perfectly put. Yeah, very good.
That's wonderful. Well, you look great. And it's even better that you're planning to go on and actually give something back to the society.
Well, I'd love to do that.
And that would be great that you do it.
Yes.
So when you do, we'll look out for you.
Yeah, thank
Many
you very
thanks,
much.
John.
Thank you.
Provide 2 breaths.
Ignore that.
1, 2.
We don't give breaths anymore, and that's also
Resume chest compressions. Push down
the instruction for the British Heart Foundation as well. Now,
provide 2 breaths.
it is tiring. Once you've done this.
So that sound as you're listening there is the sound of somebody showing you the pace at which you need to do your CPR. About 120 depressions per minute, 2 every second. But don't take my word for it. Make sure that you go to a course and get some proper instruction, because it's you that can make a difference. So the meet is breaking up now, and we've learned an awful lot about the way in which people can use the equipment which is available around the community. I don't think we're going to attempt to explain that here now, because really, if you want to know that, then there are people who will come to your organisation and will give you some instruction on how to use the equipment, or if you fundraise to get equipment, then clearly you'll get some instruction at that point. But very often the issue is finding the location for this equipment and raising the funds to do it. And one of the bodies in Congleton which does that is Lions, and I've got Claire with me, who I know has an awful lot to do with this. Claire, how is it that Lions get involved in defibrillators?
So, as my colleague was explaining earlier on before, she was saying that through the death of somebody, they wanted to leave a legacy, and one of the legacies that they left was a defibrillator. So they left a defibrillator as a bequest, and that was a great memory of that person. And so going on from there, we've managed to we've now got 8 defibrillators around Congleton. So we're also guardians for them. So it's not just about putting in the defibrillator, we've got to make sure that it's working. So we check them every week to make sure that that light is flashing, that it's working. If it gets taken out and used, we want to make sure then we collect it, make sure it's all working, replace the pads, make sure that everything's working fine, put it back in so that it becomes ready again. So if something happens to you, and you need to phone the ambulance and use the defibrillator, the ambulance will direct you to the one that's closest to you, the one that's available.
There's an interesting point there, isn't there? And it came across in the lecture that we've just listened to. You witness a situation, somebody is not breathing.
Yes.
First thing you do is 999.
Yeah, phone 999 straight away. You want to tell them, the ambulance service, straight away, this person's collapsed and they're not breathing.
Yes.
That way then the ambulance is already on its way to you. And the ambulance service are really good because they will actually talk you through how to do compressions. So you can't do any harm with those compressions. It's worth having a go. So, you know, they will tell you what to do. They will have a little clock in the background that's going... Because you want to do 100 to 120 compressions in a minute. So they're going to have that little thing talking you through so that you know that you're doing it at the right time, and you're just going to do your best.
Yes, I think there might be a misunderstanding there. I mean, we do see these defibrillators around the town, and they're very, very obvious where they are. They might be in a specific, even a Congleton telephone box in some cases, in some places in Cheshire East. But the fact is, the electronic part of the defibrillator has to come after the vital bit, which is chest compressions.
Yes, so you're going to do those chest compressions because that's what's going to keep that person alive. So how that does that is everybody's got, well, if you were to collapse now, at the moment, your blood oxygen level is probably about 98, 99% because you're stood here breathing next to me. So if you collapse and you suddenly stop breathing, I want to circulate that blood oxygen because you've got blood oxygen all over your body. I'm going to then circulate that around. I don't necessarily need to do any breathing because you've already got all that oxygen in there. So
you've got a reserve in there.
You,
it's in your blood supply to take it round. It's within your blood basically, and it gets into your lungs, and your lungs can extract it.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing with that. Those chest compressions are going to circulate that oxygen around your body until the ambulance arrives. So, yeah, fabulous if you can get the defibrillator there. That's going to give you another level. But don't worry if you can't. You just keep going with those chest compressions. If you can.
And the way in which you do that, yes, you perhaps need a little bit of instruction about it. It would be wrong for us to sort of paraphrase it now. But at the end of the day, you press at a rate of about 100 to 120 compressions, 2 every second, and get significant movement in the upper chest area to massage the heart, so that mechanically you are doing what the heart would otherwise be doing by going boom, 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 boom.
That's correct. So it's about a third of the size of the person that you need to press down. So it's quite a long way. You're going to have to press very firmly. So make sure you're kneeling very close, nice strong elbows, tight, press nice and firmly on the chest with the heel of your hand. You can actually watch videos online. If you go on to Resuscitation Council UK, they've got lots of videos online you could watch on there and practice on a cushion at home.
Yes, whatever you do, don't practice on somebody that's breathing.
No, definitely not. Practice on a cushion.
I think I'll support that. I'll be telling my wife to stop practicing on me. Yeah, that's the answer. Yeah, go and find a cushion, please. So great. We've established a few things. The importance of these wonderful machines, which will give you instructions almost automatically once you've found one. But before that, the important thing is to assist that person who is not breathing to get oxygen around their body, because that way they might well live.
Yes, that's exactly what you're doing. You're emptying the heart of blood twice every second. So you're pushing nice and firmly to push that blood around the heart, and as you release, more blood comes in, you're pushing it out. So you're doing that mechanics for the heart while it's not doing it
You are
itself.
the heart of that person for that time when their heart is not working. You're showing them a bit of heart, I think you might say.
That's a great, what a fabulous saying. Show them a bit of heart.
That's why I'm in media, you know, I invent the words. Just going back to the mechanics of it, parish councils very often are approached by somebody who will say, I'd love to have a seat in memory, but I wonder if there's not an opportunity here for people instead, through a parish council, to contact Lions and say, you understand the mechanics of what sort of equipment, where we might locate it. what extra things it needs, power supply it might need, the maintenance of that equipment. You've got a lot of knowledge, so perhaps there is an opportunity here for parish councils and for people listening to make contact with local Congleton Lions and just make sure they've got a plan, and maybe they want some sort of memorial to a loved one. They might have had a stroke, they might have had a heart attack. They weren't fortunate enough to have this equipment online, or a person that knew how to use it or how to give compressions. Contact you, and then you'll help them through that journey, and let's have more than the... How many did you say we've presently got?
We've got, well, Congleton Lions have got 8, but there's a lot more in Congleton, but some of those are indoors. They're not available 24/7.
Okay.
But if you go onto the circuit, so it's called the circuit, or onto Find a Defib, you can actually see where they are available. So you can always find out where your
You can find that area, but definitely the more we can have,
yeah,
the more lives we can save.
Absolutely. You don't want to be running too far for that defibrillator.
You don't. In fact, you don't want to be running at all. You've got the person there. The primary need is to do with that person there, then get the heart back if you can, but if you can't, just
keep going.
Be the heart. Be the heart for the heart.
Yes, absolutely.
Lovely, Claire. Thank you for all the work you're doing, and I know there are people out there whose lives have been saved through the work that you do.
Thank you.
You are making a big difference.